साइड पे देखा नोएडा का नाम दे दिया, आरसी नोएडा।
सर पीछे खाना है मुझे,
किसी ने लिखता नहीं है, नोएडा का नाम प्रमोट कराता हूँ। चलते रहो क्या?
आपको तो चलाना नहीं है, आप माउस तो लेकर जाओ।
अच्छा, ये वाला माउस पे चलता है,
माउस में लेकर जाओ, आपको तो से करना है नीचे।
ये तो माउस है।
इसी से करना नीचे।
हाँ वो तो मुझे
स्टार्ट कर दो।
कैसे स्टार्ट हो गया आगे? Good morning to everyone. So I am academic counselor BISWAS. Today the course is MMPH 001, Organizational Theory and Design. Today I have to cover the block number 2. There are 2 units. Block number 2 is the basics of the organizational structure. There are 2 units, unit number 4 and unit number 5. Unit 5 is your fundamentals of organizational structure, and unit 5 is your factors affecting organizational structure. There are still 2 units which cover up the block number 2. Now, let's see the detail of the particular units. What are the contents of this particular units? There is a design process that we have to see. Then evolutionary process of the organizational design, how it has come and from where. And then universal perspectives of the organizational design. Then from strategy to structure and process. There are 3 stages: first strategy, then structure, then process. So that part we have to see. The new perspective on the organizational design and restructuring of the strategies. So this unit number 4 is basically talking about your organizational structures. Now unit 5, where we have to see what are the factors are affecting for the structuring process. Meaning of the organizations, then his design and structure that you have to learn. Purpose of the organizational structure and the principle of the organizational design and structures. Theories of the organizations. Then some of the key factors affecting the organizations and design structure and others. So, and finally the organizational effectiveness. Now let's see. You can see the fundamentally now today we are in the modern organizations. These are basically the open systems. First, we have to try to clarify what is the open system and the closed systems. The open systems for the organizational purposes, basically it is the external environment are already to be considered also. But in the case of your closed, where there is no change within the organizations only, there is no environmental part is included or attached. That case it is a closed. But in this case, open systems, environmental are the social, political, technical, economic, legal, all are the things are surrounded. I mean, it is encompasses with all the conditions, and then it is open everywhere to see the axes are there, and the viewpoints and considerations, what are the effect, everything are to be implemented. That is the implications of the organizations. In order to remain the competitive, organizations respond to the pressures exerted by the environmental factors. The nature of their response depends upon the degree of the pressure. And normally, organizations respond by the formulating new business strategies when the degree of pressure is high. So that time the change is required. When the pressure is there, means you have to have some change. So changes in strategies often necessitated necessitate changes in the organizational design. Now coming to your restructuring point, where you see the sometimes the turbulence and the unstable conditions in the organizations. Any organizations cannot be stable continuously. There are some unstable conditions likely to be because of the environmental, because of the other factors are affected. So that's why time to time organizations has to be restructured. In this case, Barton and the Thakur, there's a 1995, they defined the organization's design as a total pattern of structural elements and the patterns used to manage the overall organizations. So organizational design should be seen as a tool for the implementation of the organizational structure, strategies, and the alignment, the attainment of the organizational goals. What are the organizational goals has set it, and it should be it should be in the same platform. Now, according to the Barnard and the Gage, 1995, the studying of the structure of the organization means they are saying, they are analyzing some of the following parts they are saying. Number one, that is how the organization is put together. How to put together the organization, that is the one. Then who reports to whom? That is should be there within the structure that should be. Then degree of your centralization or the decision-making power concentrated at the top. How much power they should have in the top levels. Then extent of the rules, policies, regulations, and the procedures of the organizations. Changes in strategies often necessitate changes in organizational design. These are all of the following things have to be analyzing. They have analysis and it should be within the structure. Then the design process, the Herbert Simon, he suggests that an alternative to the principles of the design, we must attempt to understand the decision making and communication process which produce the effect. Because there are two things. Decision making are definitely the communication process as priority, because with this communication process, you cannot take the decision. Whatever the decisions also that has to be passed to the end users. I mean even in the stockholders also. So which produce a effect of these things. So Allen suggests that the 7-step sequence that could be followed for set the design process into the actions. What are the things? First things he has identified, identify the major objectives of the firm and derive the primary line functions needed to accomplish the objectives. So objectives should be there and that all the objectives should be channelized. Then 2 is organized from the top down by the establishing a scalar change of authority and responsibility. So from the top to bottom, there are some authority and the responsibility are to be established. Then your third point is organized from the bottom by the integrating the activities. Whatever the activity that should be integrated with each the function. Whatever the function are there, all the functions has to be integrated. Then decide what management positions are needed for each activity. Then 5th is your identify the positions in group related work. Then seek the grouping to ensure the balance in the distribution of the resources, whatever the resources that should be balance should be there. Check whether the span of control are appropriate, particular based on the responsibility and positions. Sufficient span is there. I mean the subordinates or subsections, the peoples, whatever the things they are handling, this is really justified or not. That has to be checked. If it is control span is very big, then it will be a challenge. It may not be, cannot be performed effectively. So if it is a required, look at density or required number of peoples, where it can be controllable. You can control the functions of all the activities. So that span has to be decided. Then process, evolutionary process of the organization, how it has come, what are the things, basic phenomena behind it. The organization is developed from a small, large unit to by moving through the four stages. Any organizations, there are some four stages are there. That is, we can call it the life cycle of the business life cycles. So there are life cycle, product life cycles, business life cycles, company. Every company, like human, there are some four stages are there: childhood, and your youth, and finally the maturity, and finally the old ages. So similarly, in the organizations also there are different stages: birth stage, then your youth stage, middle stage, and the maturity stage. This process of the development is accompanied by corresponding changes in the organization's design. This is a button and the taco again, it has defined lessons. Now see the birth stage. This is the stage when the organization is created, the organization is informed. Youth stages. During this stage, the additional employees are employed as the sale of the company's product and services increases. So although the authority is fairly centralized, a few trusted employees are involved in the decision-making process. Then there are now a few professionals and the administrative personnel in the organizations. So now youth stage. Now after that, you have to see the middle stage, where by the time of the organization reaches this stage, it has become somewhat successful and grown in size. It has in a very big sense. So its structure is similar to that of a formal bureaucracy with formalized the departments, supporting staff departments, and many professionals and the clerical staffs. The large set of rules and procedures have been introduced. Authority has been effectively decentralized. All the authorities are decentralized. The division of the labor has become extensive. So this is the middle stage where it is almost the maturity condition, and it is flourished, and there's a lot of divisions are there. And definitely the authority also, power is also distributed. Now maturity stage. Maturity stage is a crucial. Why? Because that stage you have to create new innovative things. So for further keeping in view of the future of the company, how to survive or how to be more competitive, that is a very important stage. What is this maturity stage? There, during this stage, the organization becomes a very large and mechanistics. That is the important thing. That time is almost the stereo or standardized, you can say. A set of bureaucratic rules, regulations, and policies prevail. So although the authority is fairly centralized, a few trusted employees are involved in decision-making process. Now, decision-making is centralized. The division of the labor is highly refined. As a result of the rigid virtual hierarchy, the organization is one of the brink of stagnation because of the bureaucracy, and sometimes things are not moving in the way it is set it. So some stagnation will start at certain point. So at this flexible, as such, it decentralizes authority within the lateral structures, such as the licensing personnel, task forces, and the project teams. So it is clear that the organization structures, the characteristics undergo different stages. First stage, which we have seen, there are 4 stages are there. So that in different way. So it is in total, you can say the organizational life cycles. Now coming to some of the universal perspectives of the organizational design, so some mechanisms of the organization's design is still not mature to offer the theoretical principles and proven practices which would encompasses a variety of organizations. That is Misra, Lomes, and Misra 2003, they have defined it. However, there are universal perspectives of an organizational design. Which are the things? That is your bureaucratic model, then your behavioral model, and the contingency perspectives. Now, see, as per the Max Weber, who, as a German sociologist, he conceptualized the idea of the bureaucracy. The center to his work in the development of the concept of the bureaucratic organization design. According to Weber, a bureaucracy is defined as organization founded on a legitimate and formal system of the authority. So some division, organization should have some following characteristics. What are the things? As per the Weberian approach, he has given some of the approach, the division of the labor based on the functional specializations. A well-defined hierarchy of authority so that the scalar chain of command runs from the top of the organizations to the bottom. Now, and a system of rules covering the rights and the duties of the employees, a system of procedures for dealing with the work situations, then promotion and the selection based on technical competence. In personality of interpersonal relations, all managers should conduct business in an impersonal manner, maintaining an appropriate social distance from their subordinates. On the basis of strengths of this model is that it was the first model of the organization design developed, and it still serves as the basic foundation for the understanding and application of a new organizations. That is the things are there. Now, as per some of the drawbacks are there also. The major drawbacks of this that the model tend to get bogged down with the rules and the regulations. Some of the rules and regulations are there. He has binded in such a way, so you cannot process some of the process laws, set up the actual objectives of the organization, because cannot reach the objective in time, or maybe some of the blockage or chances of blockage are there. So it is not well suited for a changing and uncertain external environment. So if any uncertain external environment has come, so that cannot be possible. So bureaucratic structures can become so rigid and formalized that organizations simply cannot change fast enough to cope with the external change. This model has evolved from the human relations school of management thoughts. So in the classical bureaucratic model, and the individual is not identified, and the effect of an entire group is considered in the total process of the management. On the contrary, in the behavioral model, the performance of an organization is believed to depend on the human beings, their behavior, characteristics, and their mutual relationships emerging from work patterns and the organizational settings. So here some of the different model here actually we are discussing. Another important factors is the play significant roles are needs, motivations, and then attitudes, values, leadership, group behavior, perceptions, communications, responsibility, and authority relationships. These all are major factors. In other words, we can see the behavioral models of the organization design reflect the social and your psychological implications of the organizational life. The most popular behavioral models and the organizations are these socio-technical system theory, and this Likert systems is also another good theory for the measuring the things. What are the factors and how to measure the things is very important. Now, contingency perspectives, because contingency perspectives of the organization designs is also required. The best design for any organizations is depend on a number of situational factors. Based on the situationals, now contingency your should be there. Some design should be based on this. The most critical situational contingency factors are the external environment, technology, and the size of the organization. When this organization is very big and it is almost reached some of the things, so definitely your design structuring is very important. So that's why the that contingency or that situation when that come, that company has to be act on these things and need to be changes to be considered. So contingency perspectives, we can see there are the open systems and the closed systems as we discussed. Now the open system have the permeable your boundaries and they constantly interact with the external environment. But in the closed systems, no such transactions with the external environment. So they are self-contained and operate independently of their external environments. So however, the modern organizations are open systems that interact with their environments. Now the objectives of the organizations are derived from the overall strategy of the organizations. So in a natural that an organizational design is closely linked to the strategy. But during the significant change in the strategy, the organization's design needs to be modified to accommodate and support that changes. So there is considerable empirical evidence there to identify, to indicate that choice of the organization strategy is determined by the contingency factors. Now, here some of the diagrams are given of the contingency perspectives, what the way it is playing. Some external environment is there, which I can say is a part of the input of the organizational overall strategy. The external environment, you can take it as some of the inputs. Then technology is another inputs, and the size of the organizations, as we said, these are all the basic inputs for the decisions, strategy decision purposes. Then finally, you have to go for the organizational design, or rather, I can say as a redesign of the things. If it is a new company, again you have to consider all these things, or it is a big company when it is rich in such a conditions or big size, or the external situations are not favorable, whatever the way, not feasible. So that case, you have to design the organizations in a fresh. Now, strategy. An organizational strategy describes the organizational goal and the ways the organization expects to reach those goals. Organization strategy may need to change as changes occur in its external environment. Now, external environment. Any organization is surrounded by the general environment and the task environment. So, general environment consists of basically the economic environment, technical, social, socio-cultural, political, legal, and international dimensions, which have an impact on the organization and it tax in the environment. The tax environment compromises of the customers, then your competitors, suppliers, and the government agencies. These all are the environment comprises. A stable environment, because ultimately you have to constructing form of the environment. Now, finally, you have to see the stable environment that remains fairly constant over the time. Unstable environment, which is subject to change and uncertainty. Though their study of the different organizations operating in these two environments, they found that the organizations in stable environments tended to be have a different kind of structure, and those operating in unstable conditions, unstable environments. So both the conditions structures are intended in that way. Barnes and Stalker call these organizations having two different form of structures. There is a mechanistics and is organic organizations. So mechanistic organizations, mechanistic organizations is in many respects similar to Max Weber's bureaucratic organizations, or we can say the liquor systems organizations. So generally found in stable your environment, the mechanistic organization is characterized by the rules, regulations, standardized procedures, and centralized your decision makings. Organic organizations, it is resembles the behavioral models and the liquor systems for organizations. It is generally found in unstable condition environments, and due to the frequent changes in the organizations, frequent changes in the environment, organic organizations adopt the flexibility and non-routine methods, few rules and the regulation, and then decentralize the authority and create the autonomous work teams. So this is part of your organic organizations. So there, the research is indicated that as the environments become more uncertain, organizations need special coordinations mechanisms such as licensing management, task force, and some special task force like this, and special team also. So this is the things are that is a Harvard Business School researchers say. Now technology is another aspect. Technology refers your to the process by which an organization converts the input, that is basically the people, material, equipment, money, plant, and facility. These all are your inputs. That some of the technology are giving you conversions basically and transactions. It is a giving you any new ideas and new speed, you can say, new speed of the things. So technology is one of the important part for the process, and the process may be mechanical as in manufacturing operations, or it can be a service of the clients as the bank, hospitals, insurance company like this. The process can also be largely your mental, as in organizations that solve the problems or create new ideas. So products and the services and the R&D organizations, advertising agencies, and software development firms are example of the for the latest. Now the size Birmingham he has conducted some of the study. So he concluded that the organization size was more important than technology, and as a determinant of the structure, because when you are considering as the structures, so size is one of the main determinant because it is giving a more impact on your things. So on the basis of the findings of the studies that supported technology, design linkage, or the following, the conclusions have been drawn. What are the unit and the process technologies work better with the smaller span of control. If your smaller span, definitely it will be work better in organic structures. Whereas the mass production technology flourishes with wider span of work control and bureaucratic structures. So everywhere some benefits are there, and some are maybe other I can say every system there are some merits and some of the demerits. The routine technologies features bureaucratic structures, the centralized decisions making that uses formal written rules and procedures to guide the decisions. And otherwise, the organizations that are also complex and non-routine technologies, you have more departments, fewer levels of authority, and more participants in the decision making. Then it is also used for the routine technologies. For such organizations, and organic structures is appropriate. New information technology, always for the reciprocal interdependency among the parts of an organization. So which in turn, we can say the flourishes in an organic structure rather than a bureaucratic one. Size. So size, the research tells what after the research the outcomes are come, that the large organizations have different structural features than the small organizations. Typically, the small organizations have little specification. Few formal written rules and procedures, and a narrow span of the control. The informal decision process and a simple design, simple designs. By contrast, the large organizations tend to have elaborate specifications, many formal written rules. There should be more number of rules and the procedures, more formalized relationships, and use a decentralized form. So here actually we are talking about the small organization and the large organizations in regard to your size. Now, for topology, there are some handy topology for the integration of the organization structure to contingency factors, provide a clear understanding and some of the linkages between the business strategy and the organizational design. Yes, Mitzvah, your belief that every organization has 5 basic parts. The top management is created at the very top of the organizations, and this part is also known as a strategic apex. So what are the parts are there that we can say strategic apex. Now middle management. Middle management is found in the intermediate level, you can say. For example, general manager, deputy general manager, sales managers, or additional managers. These all are basically in line with your middle management. So in the bottom in the technical core, which is otherwise called as the operating core. After that, in the bottom level, those who are directly involved in the operations, or human dealing, public dealings, or in the production lines, or in the field survey, where they are the operations are basically the core operations of the organizations. Now here some of the topology is given as per the Mitzvah topology. It says there's some of the basic parts. As I said, there are 5 parts. First thing is your top management, where the strategy apex, we can say, where the people are taking the strategies, how to company they run, perspectives, view, mission, whatever. Then your middle management, and besides of the things, the technical professional staffs, and your administrative supportive staffs. And one other thing is your operating core, their technical core. I mean, the technical persons are working there, are there. So that's the way it is. Some of the topology is given. Now, simple structures. The manager and only a few workers, assistants performing the overlapping activities sometimes. Top managers and only the few workers. The structure consists of the top, as I seen that some top level managers, the middle, and the technical persons. So while they may be a very small administrative staffs, the technical and functional staffs are virtually absent because there's no required for these things. Cities other features are centralized decision making, so informal coordinations and the minimal divisions of the labor. Organizations employing the service technology or your small batch processing technology adopt this form of your structures. Now, some of the strategy, structure, and process, the formations. What are the new perspectives that has been explained here? Is considering the Bartlett and the Groschel, 1992, is considered the studies on the strategy structure relationships by Chandler and the Stafford and the Wells, Daniels, Pierce, and Treater, 1984, and Egelhoff, 1988. So, as the first generation approaches to organization design, because the complexity and the dynamic nature of environmental demands has made the structural fit, that is, strategy structure linkages, less relevant and harder to achieve. Another viewpoint that you are coupled with this, there has been a growing growing realization, and just focusing on the organizational structure. This may not be enough to implement the complex strategies concerned successfully. Therefore, a second generation of models of the organization design have been developed, which focus on the management process that will make strategic decisions work. Second generation models are based on the premise that all the structured forms are not equally effective in implementing a given strategy. And therefore, the role of the management is to create an internally consistent and balanced design. So design parameters for the second generation organizations and models that has been given in order to create an organizational design that is internally consistent and balanced. The following design parameters can be used: the structural and the formal coordinative mechanisms, systems and the tools, that is administrative mechanisms, cultural transformations, you can say the socialization, normative integrations, structural and the formal coordination mechanisms. So this includes the centralization, formalizations, and the specifications. Specializations. So centralizations or the decentralizations is referred to whether the power of decision making lies at the upper or lower levels of the chain of the command, because when the change of the command is going on, so where the power should be, who is the authority to sign or approve the things, so that things are very vital. Then your formalizations. At the time of formalization also you can call it a standardization. You have to standard the things. It indicates the extent to which the policies, rules, and job descriptions, what are the written down, and the procedures are established through standard routines. Because it's based on the standard, you have to follow. and where the relaxations or any tolerance are also to be, uh, how much tolerance has to be considered. So everything are depicted in the standards. So degree of specialization refers to the number of specific tasks that are carried out through the separate and distinct functions. The structural design of the organizations plays very important role. The organizational strategy, then your operational strategy of the organizations. Small organizations, even when it grows in size and the complexity. So there are several common features typing the structural development. What are the features? The increase in the specialization and the level of internal differentiation in roles, functions, and divisions. Higher skills and the multiplicity of occupations. Increased use of formal system and procedures. Then shifting emphasis from the hierarchical to lateral communications. Then restructuring strategies where the greater your budget at the unit levels and increase in the number of people who survive the according activities, then providing the growing the emphasis on the delegation and decentralizations. Now, what are the factors affecting the meaning of the organizations, then your purpose of the organizations, principles, theories, key factors, other factors, organizational effectiveness. These all are the factors affecting. The meaning of organizational design structure, the term organizational design refers to how various parts of the organizations and the distinct elements are brought together to make it. It considers the both how these elements match together and ways in which they may be analyzed and improved. The design aspects broadly include how the organization is structured, the types and the numbers of jobs and the processes and procedures used to. So handle and pass the informations, make decisions, produce results, manage quality, communicating informations, plan, develop, and innovations, etc. Now, see the organization strategy, you can see. The structure should be designed in such a way that is to assure the realization of the organization's goals and the objectives. Or you can use a strategy should be aligned with the objectives. To arrange the resources in the most efficient and effective way. To provide for the effective divisions of tasks and the accountabilities among the individuals and groups. To ensure effective coordinations of the organization's activities and clarify the decision-making process. To enhance the elucidated the lines of communication up, down, and across the organizations. Now, effective monitoring and the review. This is another aspect. Here, actually, we are talking about to realize the number of active objectives and how to design it. Some of the aids for handling the crisis and the problems to help to motivate, manage, and give job satisfaction to the individual members of the organizations, and to provide for management successions. These are all our things should be realized and it is also a number of objectives also you can see. Now, the good organization's design should go along with the following principles. How to define as a good organizations. So there, it is to be divided into a specialized areas. Some of the specialized areas should be divided, and some of the interlinked specialized area need to be interlinked. What are the specialized areas are there? That should be interlinked in the marketing research teams, or maybe the R&D teams, or maybe the training and development, those who are conducting. So everything of where the specialized areas in the company, they are to be interlinked. So the number of levels in the structure, sometimes it's referred to as a scale change. It should be as few as possible, as few as possible. So if it is a number of levels, then it may be create a problems. Now the span of the control again is very important. The number of subordinates directly manage and vary accordingly to the nature of the jobs and the organizations. But it should not be so narrow that it results in a structure with too many levels. Because span is very important. Again, it should not be much narrow, it should be wide so that you can maintain things. Or maybe it should not be too broad to allow the effective management. So both the things have to be seen, or maybe balanced way. You have to put the span of control. Ultimate aim to create the effective of the management. Now, unity of the demand, unity of command, that is important. For this, it is reporting the positions and the authority need to be clearly defined. Now, every post in the structure should have a clear role and add value to the way of organization functions. So, it should be defined clearly. What are the posts and should be clear role? What are the roles should be there? Basically, the job descriptions, responsibilities, tasks has to be defined. Then the extent to which the organization should be centralized and decentralized, that also to be decided, need to be depending on the situations or the factors like this. Then changes in the environment are so that the structure can be designed nicely, considering the condition of the technological development, geography, your cultural environment. So all that we consider. What are that all these accounts basically you have to design change in environment conditions. Now, basically, there are two theories of the organizational design. One is our universalistic theory, another is your contingency theory. There are two theories basically. So, universalistic theory, it assumes that there is one best way of organizations. It means the maximum organizational performance comes from the maximum. Or for instance, specializations like this. The classical management is an earlier organizational theory that argued that the maximum organizational performance results from the maximum formalization and specializations. And hence it is considered to be universally theory. According to neo-human relations, which claims that the organizational performance is maximized by maximizing the participations. So new theories are coming, especially nowadays the new human relations are important. How to maximize the things, efficiency-wise. Now contingency theory. So here actually the structural contingency theory contains the three core areas, core elements, one of the first, second, third. First is there is an association between the contingency and the organizational structure. Some association should be there. Second is contingency determines the organizational structure because the organizations that changes its contingency, then in consequence changes in structure. Third, there is a fit of some level of the organizational structure variable to each level of the contingency, which leads to high performance, and whereas the misfit leads to lower performance. Now, size is another aspect. The selection of the appropriate design is reliant upon the several group factors. However, the primary factor that often affect the organizational design, that is your size. Bigger is better model, say. Environment. Organizations as an open system need to receive the various inputs from the environment and to sell various outputs to their environment. Therefore, it is important to comprehend what the environment is and what elements are likely to be important. Then your strategy. Organizational strategy refers to the way the organizational positions and your self in its setting of the relations and with your in the stockholders, given the organization's resources, then capabilities and missions. Basically, two types of strategies are popular at present. One is generic and competence-based strategies, and the technology. So customers and market, though the type of market and the customers are also important, because where the market is not there, cannot be survived. There, it serves that and our customer responsive environment. This should be one of the main determinants of these structures. If the organization is providing the services to a broad range of the customers in a large number of locations, so it may need to have many branch offices to look after, post offices and so on, because you have to monitor geographically. In the processes used within the organizations also affect the structures. The production lines process consists of a number of distinct tasks that are carried out by people, and specializations in those tasks at different stages of the process. Now the people. Other factors are such as people. People is a organization affect the structure in a number of ways. Structures do not just appear. They are the result of the people's views, because they have to give in some views and beliefs and their approaches to managing the organizations. The structure is also be affected by the types of jobs and the people within the organization. For example, suppose the structure is there, maybe the structure is very good, but the effects will come when the people are also effectively working. They follow the rules and regulations, they're working, they finish the jobs, and what are the objectives set it, they have fulfilled their targets and fulfill the objectives, then we can say all over. So people intentions are very important. Geography is also another factor, because geographically it is spreading the organization affected, because the structure mainly because of its needs to be near the raw materials and customers, then things. But when this prepared, the geographical how to spreading and all these things, definitely it has considered nearby, but it may not have been always. So you need to be near the raw materials and the customers. Then effectively you can work. Product and the services and other factors. The structure may be determined by the particular products and services provided. Large and diverse organizations have separate divisions because they are dealing with very different products and services. Same department cannot be maintained. I mean, they cannot handle the different type of products. So its advantage is product specializations are there. It provides a focus on a specific area and encourages the development of the expertise in the provision of that product or services. And it is likely to provide a service that is more responsive to customer requirements. Now, what are the disadvantages? Too much focus on the product, it may overlook the customers' real needs, and it may not make the best use of the organization resources. Then effectiveness, as we say, there are actual effectiveness of your specific organization is determined by the degree to which it realizes its goals. How much he has realization basically, how much it has that capital or in terms of your degree of the thing, then only you can say yes, effectively it is used and efficiently the company has worked. So organizational effectiveness can have a broad meaning that includes efficiency, profitability, and the employee satisfactions and innovation rate, then your patient well-being. So all are your part of your organizational effectiveness. So organizational effectiveness can be defined as the ability of the organizations to attain the goals set by itself. That is Parsons 1961, he has said. Or we can say by its ability to function well as a system. Or we can say by its ability to satisfy its stockholders. So different author has been defined in different way the effectiveness of the organizations. Then organizational effectiveness, some of the criteria there. There are 8 effectiveness criteria. There's quality of the management, quality of the products, services, innovations, long-term investment value, then fundamental financial your soundness. You should have a sound financial background, ability to attract, develop, and keep talented people. I mean, they retain the people. Responsibility to the community, then and the environment. That is another part for the effectiveness. Wise use of the corporate assets. What are the assets? Waste management, we can say. So, should be a waste management policy. Moreover, the 4 effective criteria can be used with various combinations because sometimes there is a lot of effectiveness criteria there, but which are exactly not related to things. Now, here, some of you point out there is a goal accomplishment, resource acquisition, internal process, and strategic constitutes satisfaction. So one goes that 4 effective criteria are almost fulfill the organization's effectiveness. So I think now the session is almost over. Now here today actually I have now discussed about the 2 things. One, the structure of the organizations and then what are the design are there, how it is correlated, integrated the way, what are the considerations are to be uh, during the process of structure, what are the viewpoints will be there, and what are the factors are affected, that also to be considered. Then we have discussed about the closed systems and the open systems. The organizations are better for the open systems. Then what are the things are span controls, then responsibilities, and your bureaucratic. So all these shapes are we have discussed in this block. So now, okay, I think now I can close the session now. Thank you very much. Thank you.